With two Academy Award nominations and an interesting first person point of view filming style, there's a lot to talk about with Nickel Boys. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for Nickel Boys. This is nominated at the Oscars for Best Picture and Best Adapted Screenplay. It has not won any real major awards so far, but it has won some things like Best Picture and Best Screenplay and even Best Director from a few of the different film circles across the country and across the world, actually. So, but its Oscar chances, I think, seem slim. We'll find out about that a few days from this recording. But I think even more interesting to talk about is the first-person point of view filming style. So we will talk about how that helps or hinders the film. And I'll tell you about the movie on the whole here in just a second. First, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are one of my Dan Reviews It subscribers already, can't appreciate that enough. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. But if you're not, click that subscribe button and the notification bell too, so you get the alerts for all my new video drops. That would be awesome. And you can just like this video, comment below, or share it on your socials. That stuff, of course, helps the channel out tremendously as well. So this is based on a 2019 novel, The Nickel Boys, by Colson Whitehead, and he does not seem to really have a lot involved with the film. This was directed by and co-written by Ramel Ross, who I'm unfamiliar with. He's done a couple of things, and in fact has a Primetime Emmy Award for, I think, a docuseries he did. But in terms of feature films, this is certainly his highest profile affair. But he co-wrote the screenplay with Jocelyn Barnes. And the basic premise here is we have these two boys, Elwood and Turner, who are sent to an abusive reform school in 1960s Florida. And this is based on a real place that has now been closed called the Dozier School for Boys, and it was in Florida as well. But we are in, the Jim Crow era here, early 60s. We have Ethan Harris as Elwood, and he has a bright future ahead. He actually is hoping to get into college. This school is even going to basically pay for his ride. He's a smart kid, but he hitches a ride with the wrong person who had stolen a vehicle, and so he gets sort of lumped in with that, and that's how he finds himself at the Nickel School for Boys. And you also have Brandon Wilson as Turner, who is, Elwood's best friend and really kind of only friend at Nickel Academy. And a few other people in the cast. Hamish Linklater plays Nickel's superintendent. Angeline Ellis Taylor plays Elwood's grandmother. And Fred Heckinger plays a school employee who sort of helps oversee one of the Nickel programs of convict labor. So, yeah, the most interesting thing, I guess, to talk about is going to be this first-person perspective. And we've seen not many, but a couple of attempts at movies like this over the years. The most probably memorable of them is a film called Hardcore Henry from years and years ago. It was an action movie, but it was essentially sort of patterned after those shoot-'em-up video games that I don't play, so I don't even know which specifically. Maybe it's it's going towards, but you had like Doom and Call of Duty, a lot of those first-person shooter type games. So Hardcore Henry was all about that and more immersing you in the action. Whereas this is more for the purpose of immersing you in Elwood's body, kind of, walk a mile in my shoes kind of a thing. I assume that is what we're doing here and why the director chose to do it that way. However, it doesn't go like that the entire movie. There are actually shots where it sort of twists and goes to Turner's first-person perspective, and then we have future shots from decades after the Academy life, in which we are shooting from sort of like behind the shoulder, like an over-the-shoulder shot. I don't know what you would call that, but yeah, sort of like a behind shot, so you can really only see the back of the head and the shoulders. So there's a few different kind of odd POV styles employed with this movie, and I think in some respects, it can be helpful to, yeah, put yourself right in Elwood's mindset, in his shoes, see the way he is seeing. Now, my buddy Tim, who I just did my Oscar prediction video with, did point out that a lot of times the shots wouldn't really necessarily be exactly what the person would see. Like if you turn your head this way, I'm seeing like a bit of shoulder here, but you don't see that in this style, and so that was maybe a little bit distracting to him. I found uh, parts of it definitely distracting. I understand we're doing something a little bit different here, and we don't want to be typical. I got that, but I will say I think it was more distracting than it was helpful for this movie, just on the whole. Now, we've sort of covered that. So let's talk about the plot and everything else, because that is great. This is really tackling an important issue that I'm sure came up much, 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 much more than anybody even realizes in that time period. And let's all keep in mind, Elwood was innocent of stealing this vehicle, so he didn't even deserve to be there. And I'm sure that in itself happened way, way more than we even realize. But the abuses at these sort of academies, I think, was probably a lot more rampant. This is just an example of one place, and just really a handful of boys. Elwood and Turner are two of them, but there's a few, supporting characters as well that we get to know a little bit. They're more of the bullying type, but in turn, they were being abused and bullied, by the staff there as well. So, taking a closer look into things like this obviously is important, and it's well done. The script here is great, and these characters are well written, and even like Elwood's grandmother. We don't see her that often, but in the beginning, certainly we see her a handful of scenes, and then she makes a couple of appearances at the Nickel Academy to visit. She, in just a few scenes, we really get a well-rounded character there. So certainly one of the strong points of the movie is those characters. So I do think that the screenplay nomination is warranted. Best Picture, I don't know. Certainly it's not in my 10 favorite movies of the year. But I will say it's certainly a talking point that it has this POV angle rather than just your everyday movie shots. Whether that's good or bad, I think it detracted a little bit from the film, if I'm being honest. Just overall, I think it was interesting and maybe could have been employed at parts, but I don't know. I think overall it was a little bit too distracting. But I will say there is a great twist here. Again, to evoke my buddy Tim, we talked a little bit about that the other day. He had sort of a different view on it and asked some questions I hadn't even thought of that maybe are important to talk about. But look, we won't do that here because I'm not into the spoilers on the movie reviews. But if you watch the movie, you will certainly form your own opinion about how the twist works. But for now, I believe Nickel Boys with a B+. I don't think it's going to win anything at the Oscars this coming weekend. But I think the screenplay is definitely a warranted nomination. Best Picture, I'm not sure, but definitely one to watch for 2024. All right, thank you for watching Dan Reviews It, and I'll see you next time.